Hi, I'm Oliver. Welcome to today's book discussion. So today I'm going to be talking about a book called The Chrysalids. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, that butterfly thingy. And it's by John Wyndham. I came across this book, it was either through Kobo or, I'm a member of chapters. So, they send me those emails regularly. Here are some book suggestions you might like, and they're never on it. Like, just because I bought The Hunger Games, it just kept on recommending, like, here are other young adults novel you might like Twilight. No. But it was actually because I had bought The Hunger Games that this came about, because it's another dystopian novel. So I love science fiction, and I like either hard science fiction, so nothing that's too like this. I'm not huge on space opera, really. When there's alien races and stuff like that, blah blah blah. It gets on my nerve. So I like hard science fiction, or I like this type of science fiction, dystopian, that takes place in a dystopian world. So this book was written in 1955. It's still relevant today, as surprisingly so, as I read it. And even though it's like from the mid-50s, it doesn't sound old-timey when you read old books. Sometimes there's expressions and stuff like that, and not here. Here is it's okay, it's fine. So the story takes place in a distant future. It's never explained, it's just the distant future, and it takes place after a cataclysm of some sort took place. Now, I don't know if it was a natural disaster or anything like that. It's never explained. It's basically that a lot of humanity died, and a lot of the land is not proper anymore to is no longer habitable. So, since you cannot grow food, you cannot live there, people die, and there's sort of those small bubbles of civilization that regrouped in some places. In the case of the book, they regrouped of all places in Labrador. Alright, Labrador. Anyway, so random. But I guess since there was no population to... Anyway, so it takes place in Labrador. It's called Labrador, and they talk about an island called Newf. Obviously, Newfoundland. It's just that in that future, it's called Newfoundland. So the civilization, even though it's in the future, has regressed. It's mainly an agricultural civilization. People grow food manually. We don't hear, and there's no machinery or anything like that. They actually talk about the old people, us. The old people, the machinery, what we could do. Apparently we could fly, and stuff like that, which is apparently is very amazing to them. And yeah, so that's the world that they're in that place. And because civilization was crumbling, or for whatever reason, religion took over. So religious extremists sort of took over, not the government, but into governing the people. And in that case, it's Christianity. So Christianity, they rely very heavily on the Bible. Now, mind you, this is however long in the future. Let's say it's a couple of hundred of years in the future. That would put, the writings of the Bible way back when. And they're basing everything around them on those holy scriptures. So, in the Genesis, when it says that man was created in God's image, and every man should have, 2 arms, 5 fingers, blah, 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 like describe how man was made. And actually, or apparently, or in that, I don't know if it's actually the case of the Bible at the present, but in that world, everything in the Bible is described. So animals, plants, humans, everything. And everything has a true image or base. So the true image is basically God's image. And everything that's not in God's image is destroyed. Burned, cast away, whatever. So that's true of plants, animals and humans. So, for example, if a baby is born with 6 toes instead of 5 toes, they burn it at the stake. And, when a woman does not or tries to hide her pregnancy, and then when the baby's born, they don't celebrate yet because first an inspector has to come, inspect the infant, and decide and they give a certificate. Oh, it's in the true image of God, and then it's announced. Everybody knows there's a child, but they act as if there's no infant, and then all of a sudden, oh yes, I was pregnant for 9 months, and here is the baby we conceived, and here it is. So it's quite extreme, and because they're so adamant against everything that's not based on God's true image, it's as if there's a lot of mutation, which makes me think that the cataclysm that happened was maybe a nuclear cataclysm. If you read the book, maybe leave in the comment what you think it was. I think that's what it was. I mean, the land is blackened, so at first I thought it was just a giant fire, or maybe a meteor fell, or anything, or something, but because there's lots of mutation, I'm thinking nuclear cataclysm. Anyway, so the story is told in first person. The protagonist is called David, or Davy, which we learned way on chapter 10. What's the name of that character? Because someone's talking to David, and you're reading like, who's David? Oh, I'm David. So that was kind of buggy. And the other, instead of telling the story chronologically, keeps on, when, I don't know about you, or if it will make sense to you, but when author will say, oh, this happened. But before I can explain you this, let me tell you what happened 2 years ago. Okay, so now that this happened 2 years, now that you know what happened 2 years ago, I can tell you what's happening now. And we're going to keep on going. But this new thing that's happening, you can only make sense of it when you know what happened 6 months ago. And I found it to be very frustrating, this back and forth in time for no reason at all. And I'm thinking, tell your story chronologically. Now, the story covers about 15 years of David's life. So, I mean, really there was basically no excuse about why wasn't that done. Anyway. And why is the story important in terms of the protagonist? It's because he suffers from a mutation. It's not clear. It started making sense on like chapter 8 or 10. He basically is telepathic, and he can sense and share his mind or spirit with other people who have the same mutation, and they can perceive the other person in shape and colors, and they can communicate without using words because they can just feel what the other person is thinking and stuff like that. So there's a group of 8 of them, and so there's all those mutants. So what will happen to them? And David very early on realizes that he's different, therefore he's not has not been created in God's image, and therefore since it's not physical, he's able to hide it, and he does everything he can to hide it. Does he succeed or not? I'll leave it at that. Anyway, it's quite nice. It talks about minority, oppression, segregation. It talks about religion and how the basic criticism of Christianity in this is the books, or the holy books, the Bible, should not be, there's not one view of the book, because they talk about, well, actually in other places God's true image is another image than us. And the other thing that they talk about the holy scriptures is that they're meant to, or they should change with the times. So I thought it was accurate. I thought it was done in a subtle way. I thought it was smart. It's well written. It reads very fast. It's a short book, maybe like 200 pages or 250 pages. I don't know. That's the thing with a Kobo. You cannot tell how many pages there are because you can change the font size. But there's 17 chapters. Chapters are about 20 pages. Let's say 20 to 30 pages each, so you can read through it quickly. The characters are engaging. It's well paced. So other than those minor little criticism, it's quite nice. So I highly recommend that you read it. So if you read it, if you leave a comment about what you thought in the book, do you think you would be interested in that book? Did I convince you in reading that book? So if you like the video, please like it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Other book reviews are going to be coming. You can follow me on Twitter or Facebook. I'll be posting about what I'm reading. So if you want to know what my next video is going to be, it's where the information will be at. So I hope you're good, and until next time, can't wait to read your comment. Leave comments. Thank you. Bye.